Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, the President of Egypt, Honorable Presidents of the Ad Hoc Committee of the OAU, Your Excellency, the OAU Secretary General, comrades and friends. Allow me, on behalf of the National Liberation Movements, to thank you. I will be failing in my duty or in my task not to thank President Robert Mugabe, our host, for his warm welcome in this beautiful country. And he must convey our gratitude to the party, the government, and the people of Zimbabwe for their traditional hospitality. I must equally thank President Kenneth Kaunda, the current chairman of the Frontline States, for his concern for the struggle in Southern Africa and all other parts of the continent. Comrade Chairman, we are meeting today to consider the line of action for the support of the struggling dispossessed people of Southern Africa, particularly Namibia and Azania. In May 1963, the founding fathers of OAU established a liberation committee which has its headquarters in Dar es Salaam. We owe great gratitude to this committee for the way it has conducted its tasks. It was founded to see that the whole continent of Africa was to be liberated from imperialism and colonialism. And that end had to be achieved by tackling the huge struggle by piecemeal, that is, freeing each country one by one. And we are happy today that that task has almost been completed, because today we have almost all the continent freed. We have Namibia almost to be free, so that now it is only Azania which will remain still under the colonialist, imperialist oppression. And we are all aware that in November, Namibia will be holding its elections. We only hope that they will be fair and free. Indeed, it is a tall hope, because the imperialists never just give way. They continue to obstruct the real freedom of the people. And we are confident that our comrades, SOPO, will win that election. And we must all do everything to assist that SOPO wins that elections, because it was SOPO which undertook the weight of the struggle there, which conducted a very vicious armed struggle against racist apartheid South Africa. We congratulate them for having won that struggle. But we must remind them that the elections will not end their struggle. They are going to join the forefront countries, and they'll be facing a new struggle because the apartheid regime is determined to destabilize this area, the southern area, and therefore they are not yet free. Also, the big capitalists who have been unfairly and unjustly exploiting them will do everything that they continue to exploit that country. I say, I must remind this gathering that the wealth of Namibia has been almost depleted by the imperialists and capitalists. And it is common knowledge that Oppenheimer, that is Anglo-America, after the formation of the 8 Western countries, they transferred their headquarters to Namibia. And the diamond of Namibia, that is not a huge part of the diamond of Namibia, is in the coffers of the Anglo-Americans. So, dear brothers, dear comrades, your struggle hasn't come to an end. And we know that you are part and parcel of the struggle of Azania. And therefore, we know that we are not yet free. Now, I come to Azania itself. Comrade Chairman, the oppressed and the people of Azania have been conscious of their strength, firstly, as organized trade unions and mass organizations, and secondly, as peasants or migrant workers in the rural racial areas. The people in the white farms and Bantustans are getting organized to identify themselves with their brothers and sisters in the whole of racist South Africa. Hence, the issue of the unity of our people in all forms of campaigns and operations have been a source of strength to us and a setback to the racist regime, who have been engaged in a campaign of promoting racism and even tribalism in many areas. There are many issues which are facing us in Azania today. We have the issue of negotiation. We have the issue of economic sanctions. We have the issue of establishing a fair and democratic society there. But I wish to remind you, when we consider the question of Azania. That Azania has unique position, yes, I might say slightly different from what the Liberation Committee has been facing hitherto. Remember, Azania is a source of minerals which have been used by great powers, especially the Western countries, to build their economy and their space power. And because of that, Azania, that is now the Western powers will keep Azania destabilized and would not like it to fall into the hands of a government which they would not be sure that it will assure them of that exploitation of our country perpetually. That makes the task, that is the task of the people of Azania, very difficult. And the task of the Liberation Committee, very difficult. So here we are facing a different animal, as it were. It will require the effort and the courage of us all to dislodge the enemy. Now, there are certain questions, as I said, such as sanctions and negotiations. Now, on the question of sanctions, we are aware that those who can apply hitting sanctions to Azania are very reluctant to do so, understandably, because their economy has been built on that. Remember that Azania, even today, is still a colony of England who entrusted its running to the Boer colony in 1910. And therefore, the ruling, and therefore, those who are in position to apply sanctions are reluctant indeed, and they'll do everything to hinder true liberation of Azania. Now we know those countries. They are England, America, Germany, and Japan. Now, I want to dwell on Japan for a while. Since the launching of the 1960 struggle by the people of Azania, Japan, when that is now foreign capital, had a flight out of the country, Japan and others came in a big way to replace the capital of England. And it has continued incessantly now to do that. Now, I want to say this. The patience of the people of Azania has run out about the exploitation of their country by countries like Japan. And it is high time Japan has taken note that we will no longer tolerate that, and they must desist forthwith from exploiting our country and assisting the capability of the racist South African and apartheid government to arm itself, and those weapons have been used to kill our children in our township. And we are no longer going to tolerate it. And we say this with seriousness, and we appeal to all the countries of Africa to help us to see that Japan ceases to do that. And they must not be surprised if the people of Azania show their resentment. Remember, their company, that is their factories, are right in Azania. Now, on the question of negotiation, well, negotiation, that is now, just negotiation can only take place between people or equals, who are on equal basis, who are on par. Now, the question arises, is that situation obtaining in Azania today? The answer is definitely no. We still have an arrogant apartheid government, which is determined to continue to exploit the oppressed and dispossessed people of Azania. And they talk arrogantly too. And we must also remember that negotiation in Azania has been going on for a long time. At least it became more intensified as from 1948 when the Nationalist Party was elected to parliament. And it has negotiated with various groups in Azania. And it has resulted, to mention a few, in the establishment of Bantustan and also the establishment of the tricameral parliament. So that now, negotiation, when the Boers there talk of negotiations, they have in mind of negotiations which will bring such results, well, which will ensure that the rights of minority are not affected. Those negotiations will also, will only be there to ensure that only cosmetic changes take place. Now, therefore, at this stage, I think that question of negotiation is out. Then what is required? The answer, of course, is straight and simple, but painful. It means, therefore, we must firstly help the people of Azania to become on par with the oppressors, so that now they can negotiate on equal grounds. What does that mean? It means, therefore, the position of the oppressor must be changed from what it is, and it must be brought to the level of the people, or even below the level of the people of Azania. That is the oppressed people of Azania. That, therefore, entails greater effort and greater exaction, firstly, from the people of Azania themselves, secondly, from the Liberation Committee, thirdly, from the countries of Africa as a whole, and the concerted effort of a OAU to approach the question of Azania with one and only one strategy. You, that is now the nations of Africa, remember, are the people who called in 1963 for the total liberation of Africa. Now we have reached the end of that road. Don't hesitate. Don't be frightened by shadows. Don't be misled by the propaganda which gives the impression that the South African army is invincible. You have done it all over throughout Africa. Some countries that the oppressors there or the colonialists there put up a strenuous resistance to the people of the various areas. We have countries like not Liberia. In the north of Africa, we have the Portuguese colonies, and then we have, lastly, the people of Namibia. Thanks God, they've done so today. They've won that struggle. So now, we all must continue. I urge you, in a similar way, to free the people of the road. Don't hesitate. Don't be frightened by shadows. Don't be misled by the propaganda which gives the impression that the South African army is invincible. You have done it all over throughout Africa. Some countries that the oppressors there or the colonialists there put up a strenuous resistance to the people of the various areas. We have countries like not Liberia. In the north of Africa, we have the Portuguese colonies, and then we have, lastly, the people of Namibia. Thanks God, they've done so today. They've won that struggle. So now, we all must continue. I urge you, in a similar way, to free the people of Azania. But of course, the main task of liberating themselves is squarely on their shoulders. I am perfectly certain that we are going to win that struggle of freedom. History has demonstrated in the past. Firstly, in Vietnam, and that is in Asia, in Africa here, in many other countries in Africa. The African countries have had to wage the struggle to free themselves. So also, the people of Azania will apply all the strategies to free themselves. Now, we are asking this especially from great powers. Please do not try to dictate to us how we must conduct our struggle. Please do not interfere with the end of that struggle. Please do not try to twist our arms, because we in Azania shall not allow it. Of course, we expect them to apply sanctions and to help us, but that help must come without any strings attached to it. And as I said, Azania was an important area of influence for the Western countries to exploit rich colonial countries, or rich, weak countries. So also is the position of our comrades in the north. That is now the Palestinian Liberation Movement. They are facing exactly the same position as the people of Azania. That area has been kept in a state of instability so that the West can exploit the oil, the rich oils of that area. So that now our comrades and colleagues in the struggles, the PLO is waging exactly the same struggle with us. And they're facing exactly the same tasks with us. And I'm happy that they're conducting their struggle magnificently with courage, guile, and determination. And we encourage them to go ahead, and we are sure that they will also win, eventually win that struggle. We must win the two struggles, because remember, in 1992, the imperialists in Europe are forming an economic community. That is now United Economic Community. That, of course, is intended to exploit the wealth and resources of the world. Where will they get them? They are in Africa and Asia Minor. And then the struggle for our independence will even be more difficult that time. So it is important that even if we haven't won our struggle in Namibia, in Azania and the Middle East, but our effort towards that struggle must be such that can demonstrate to all that nobody can win them but the liberation movements. Therefore, I would like to appeal to all countries of Africa, to all peace-loving countries of the world, to all progressive organizations, to rally to the support of the people of Azania in their struggle against imperialism in their country. And I can assure you, the people of Azania, like all the people in Africa, will execute this task with distinction and honor. And I say, therefore, what we require from you is unwavering support and also trust in us that we will do our work, and that now you should supply us with means to be able to conduct this struggle in Azania. Thank you, Comrade Chairman, and all the countries which are represented here, and all our comrades who are here present.